The big game has arrived, Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 57 here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we are bringing you a special edition live in person Football Insiders. I'm Brett Yarris, joined every single week here together.
What's up, brother?
Mr. Trey Wingo, senior NFL analyst for Pro Football Network. We have a lot of things to get into in a short amount of time to do it, so we're going to get right into it because not only is it Super Bowl week, it's also award season in the NFL. Yeah, you got the Grammys, you got the Tonys, you got the Emmys, but it's award season for football. Let's start off with the MVP award. Trey, we've been talking about this pretty much all year. I think we're both on the same page here. I'll let you give the big reveal to the audience.
I mean, if you're pretending that it's someone else, you're just pretending. It's Patrick Mahomes, and it's Patrick Mahomes by a mile. He's already won the Pro Football Writers MVP. I expect him to win the NFL Honors, which is the Associated Press Award. Right. I mean, this is not hard. Okay, like if you're making it hard, that's on you. It's not on us. Okay,
we told you.
Most touchdown passes, most passing yards, single season record for most combined yards in a season. Number one offense, number one scoring offense after losing Tyreek Hill. Like if that doesn't convince you, you need help. Okay, it's Patrick Mahomes in a freight train runaway.
Yeah, and look, you know we've talked about that word value, right? The V in MVP. You mentioned it. All the other players in contention that we want to talk about, Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts got better because he added A.J. Brown.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah, Tua got better because he added Tyreek Hill. He lost.
That's right,
the second,
lost.
At worst, the second best receiver in football, and he's like, hold my beer.
That's right.
It's over.
And if things go well for him this Sunday, he'll be drinking a lot of that, I'm pretty sure.
With a lot of ketchup.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Oh, Pat, fix that, buddy. All right, Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, not so cut and dry, although I think there's a pretty good sense of who it's going to be. Let me start off by saying I really believe Chris Jones deserves serious consideration for the award, even if he doesn't win it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't, and it's the V word, right? Value.
That's right.
No defensive player is more valuable to his team than Chris Jones is to the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, that is not a debate either, in my opinion. However, I do believe that the award will go to Nick Bosa, and I can't be upset about that. No. Nick Bosa had a hell of a season, and again, people are like, well, he didn't do well against Lane Tucker in the NFC Championship game. It's a regular season award.
That's right.
Okay, the voting stopped. The voting stopped after Week 18, so it's a regular season award. I think Nick Bosa is going to win. I would not be shocked, nor would I be surprised, nor would I be upset if Chris Jones won the award. I just don't think it's going to happen. Although, again, I think Chris Jones is more valuable to his defense or his team as a defensive player than Nick Bosa is to the 49ers because there are other players that aren't Nick Bosa but that can step up. There isn't that guy. I mean, Karlaftis as a rookie was great down the stretch, but, you know, there's no player that means more to their defense than Chris Jones does to Kansas City.
There's a lot of conversation about the rookies the Chiefs are playing in the secondary.
Yeah.
What makes a coverage unit look really good is when the pass rush is getting home.
Yeah.
And we can credit, I think, the success of those rookies in the back end to what Chris Jones is doing in the front end. And I think that's where you're accurately talking about his value overall.
Absolutely.
What I would love to see eventually is that the media begin to apply that versus just looking at the box score, the stats, etc.
I agree.
Okay. That brings us to Coach of the Year award. This is not so cut and dry. There's been a lot of conversation about it. I have a very strong opinion on who I believe it should be. And I believe it should be Kyle Shanahan. But I would never be upset if some of the other names of consideration got into. But I'm interested in your take.
There are 8 guys that could win this award, and I would have no problem with it.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin probably should be up for Coach of the Year. People are like, oh, what are you talking about? They didn't make the playoffs. They made the transition. The hardest transition for a coach to do or a team to do is move on from a Hall of Fame franchise quarterback to the next guy.
Absolutely.
And unless you go, Montana to Young, or Favre to Rodgers, that's really difficult.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin probably had his best coaching job of his entire career. Moving on from Ben Roethlisberger, starting terrible, and then having a chance going into the last week of the season to potentially make the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. He still hasn't had a losing season. Still never had a losing season. And this might be Mike Tomlin's best coaching job. I think it's probably going to go to Nick Sirianni because the way they set up the award, it's okay, who had the best record and who did the most. Although that's really not coaching, right? Because, and I want to be clear, Philly fans, put down your cheesesteaks, okay? I'm not saying he didn't do a great job, but when you add A.J. Brown, it makes the job that Nick has to do easier. Right. I think what Mike Tomlin did was much more difficult.
Value.
I think you could make the argument that Andy Reid deserves.
Trey, I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
We don't talk about some of the premier coaching names. Bill Belichick obviously could be in the running every year as well.
Pete Carroll should be up for the award. Pete Carroll should be up for the award.
I think Andy Reid is a victim of his own success. They go, he's always good. And the award, and tell me if you agree with this, has become about a coach who takes a bad team and they overachieve, and that's the guy who's coach of the year.
Well, it should be, but I mean, like Nick Sirianni's team wasn't a bad team last year. They made the playoffs.
They were a playoff team.
You know, they made. Look, I don't care who wins it. I mean, the coach of the year thing I think is the most subjective and the least objective of all these awards.
That's a great point.
Because again, what makes good coaching? Is it having a really good record with a really good team, or getting the most you can out of a team that isn't that good? To me, I would argue that's better coaching.
I'm with you.
That's better coaching, or a better coaching job. Did I make chicken salad and a chicken you know what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me would be the best. But I have no problem if Shanahan wins it. I have no problem if Peterson wins it. I have no problem if Sirianni wins it. I have no problem if Andy Reid wins it, even though they're not up for it. Any of those candidates, I have no problem with.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the Rookies of the Year award. We have offense and we have defense. Let's start with defense. I think this one, we're pretty much in agreement here. I think we know who we want to go with, and that's Sauce Gardner of the New York Jets. He had a remarkable rookie season, was active and disruptive on the back end against some of the best receivers in the NFL. What did you see from him in his rookie year?
That, and more than that, the ability to not be swallowed up by the moment.
Ooh.
You know, that's what I loved about Sauce. Like, he went in there and said, if I give up one touchdown, because he didn't give up a touchdown in college. Like, he on players that he defended at Cincinnati, he did not give up a touchdown. I remember he said after the draft, I'll be upset if I give up a touchdown. I'm like, okay, settle down. You know, and he was great. He backed it up. You could make the argument Tariq Woolen played very well for Seattle. I'm going to go with Sauce just because I think from start to finish, he was absolutely phenomenal. And he embraced the moment, he embraced the location of New York, and rose to the occasion. So I'm going with Sauce Gardner.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now we're taking a look at we're taking a look at probably the hardest award to really name here. We were talking a little bit before the show started, and I'm pretty confident that I want to go with Chris Olave here, the rookie receiver for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints overall had a very difficult season, a lot of tumult at the quarterback position. But Olave
good SAT word, tumult, by the way. Nicely done.
Every show, I have to get a word in for you to come with.
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
So Olave, really did a good job of continuing to perform despite the chaos around him. And as a rookie, I think that's a good example of that. Are you in my camp with Chris Olave, or are there other names out there you're also thinking about?
Olave was my preseason pick, honestly, for Rookie of the Year. Yeah. But Garrett Wilson I would have been okay with, but the quarterback situation was so weird in New York. But I think I got to go with Kenneth Walker, the running back out of Seattle. No one expected much from him. Had over 1,000 yards, 9 rushing touchdowns. Again, this one, there was no great, oh my God, this rookie on offense there wasn't that guy this year. It might have been Breece Hall had he not gotten hurt. And then the Jets could have doubled down with potentially both offensive and defensive rookies of the year. Which, by the way, is an interesting discussion because I think the Seahawks had a tremendous draft. I think the Jets had a tremendous draft, and we can talk about the other team that I think who had a tremendous draft.
And we did talk about it last night with Joe Manor.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. Just the numbers, it really helped. He really helped solidify Geno's sort of comeback situation. By the way, I've had people say, what did Geno come back from? From being terrible. Okay, like, you know what? We know what's harder than being good, getting injured, and being good again? Never being good and suddenly being good 12 years into your career.
And it's not an injury award, right, Trey? It's not an injury award.
There's not a single word in the award that says it has to go to someone who was hurt. It said who came back. And Geno came back from being dead for a decade. Okay, that's harder to do than my knee. And I had 18 sacks before. My knee's good, and I had 17 sacks, which is great. But never having that success and suddenly having that success, that's harder than anything else. Yeah. So Geno should be the comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
Did we even get to that or not? I don't know.
We didn't, but we got it.
Throw it in there, a little bonus.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Segment 2, we're going to get into now. As we mentioned, it is Super Bowl week, which means it's prop betting season. It is the game with the most prop bets placed throughout the entire single year. And we happen to be doing this on behalf of Caesar Sportsbook. We're in this wonderful location, courtesy of them. And they gave me a great cheat. I know you don't need the cheat sheet.
No, I like it. Side note, my son made this, so there you go.
Oh,
that's his graphic work. Yeah, made
a
that.
little shout out, Chappie, on Football Insiders. All right, so I'm not going to deal with the coin toss because I think that's...
Although it's where the most money is.
It's where the most money
is everywhere.
So talk about that for a second.
Yeah, literally the biggest bet of the Super Bowl happens before the game starts.
Yeah.
Literally, more money is wagered on heads versus tails than any other prop bet in the Super Bowl. And it's weird because it's 50-50 and, there's no real big payout.
That's the thing. It's not even plus odds. It's minus 101 on both sides.
Yeah.
But okay, so there's your coin toss prop analysis from us. That's the best you're going to get. Let's talk about the passing prop.
Can I throw in one thing real quick before we do anything else?
You don't have to ask, just do.
Well, prop bets started at Super Bowl 20 in 1986 when Caesars, the first official prop bet happened when Caesar's Palace put odds at Super Bowl 20 that the Fridge, William Refrigerator Perry, would score an offensive touchdown as a defensive player. It started at 20-1, and the money came in so much on the Fridge getting it done that the odds fell to 2-1. And of course, in the third quarter, he came through. Yeah. So ever since then, every year, Caesar's Palace and now Caesar Sportsbook on the app has put the original odds of 20-1 for any defensive player to score an offensive touchdown. Wow. Only one other person has done it.
Who's that?
Mike Vrabel did it twice. Super Bowl 38 and 39 caught touchdown passes from Tom Brady. So the odds are 20-1. And the only defensive, now not a defensive touchdown, that's happened a lot. The only defensive player to score an offensive touchdown, William the Refrigerator Perry and Mike Vrabel. Side note, Mike Vrabel has the greatest stat line in the history of the NFL. I will die on this hill. He's a linebacker. In his career, he was targeted 12 times, had 12 catches for 12 touchdowns, and 2 in the Super Bowl.
Hall of Famer.
Greatest stat line. No one will ever come close. Randy Moss, are you 100% touchdowns? I don't think so. And I'm a linebacker, so good for you.
Well, look, let's stay on this for a second because the one that I did really well last year on Caesar Sportsbook was a non-quarterback to throw a touchdown pass, which has happened in 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls.
Including the Eagles Philly special, Trey Burton.
That's right.
Super Bowl 52.
All right, passing props. Sticking with passing touchdowns here. Mahomes and Hurts are both set at over under 1.5 passing touchdowns. That seems a little low to me, given the star power they have as quarterback.
It seems low for Mahomes. It doesn't seem low for Hurts, and let me explain why. Hurts has thrown for more than 1 touchdown in 9 of the whatever games he's played, 17 because he missed 2, 9 of 17 games. But he hasn't done that in his last 4 games played. Conversely, the Chiefs, everybody hates their secondary. Well, with all those rookies that are playing really great down the stretch, McDuffie, Cook, Watson, Williams, they haven't given up more than 1 touchdown pass in the last 5 games that they've played. So that to me, I don't think is a really low situation for Hurts. Mahomes threw for 2 touchdown passes on 1 leg with no receivers in the AFC Championship game. I was AFC Championship game old when I learned that there was a receiver named Marcus Kemp on the Kansas City Chiefs.
First of all, you got his name right. You didn't get it right last week.
It was Marcus Freeman. I gave him the pitcher from Major League Baseball. But yeah, and the only reason I know that because Mahomes hit him in the 4th quarter for a first down conversion.
A huge try.
Marcus Kemp.
A huge try.
The hell is he?
That's right.
So I think that, and as good as the Eagles secondary is, I would feel comfortable that Mahomes is going to throw for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. And just so you guys know, at Caesar Sportsbook, the over is at minus 214. So obviously the sharps also feel that way as well. The under plus 152. I don't love those odds for the under at all. And Hurts on the over 1.5 minus 109, the under 1.5 minus 125. That's interesting to me because Trey makes a great point. That minus 109 actually might not be enticing enough to even take that on the over there. Let's take a look at the rushing props. Kenny's got props here.
Yes, he does.
All right, but we'll take a look at the rushing props. Miles Sanders, the game last week, we look at the 2 weeks ago, the 31-7 NFC Championship game. That game is not reflective of what the score is because for all those points, the Eagles rushing only had 148 yards. They averaged less than 4 yards a carry. Miles Sanders here over under 59.5 rushing yards.
Well, that's for the Eagles to win, in my opinion. We can do that on our next segment. They're going to need to hit that because I think that Spagnuolo is very much aware of something that hasn't been talked about a lot. Steve Spagnuolo, the defense coordinator of the Chiefs, and we'll get into that in the breakdown. But I believe that the Chiefs are going to sell out to stop the run. Okay. And if Miles Sanders can get 60-plus yards, then I think the Eagles have a really good opportunity. But I believe the number one goal for the Chiefs defense going into this game is sell out to stop the run. And I'll explain why when we get to our next segment.
Yeah. Real quickly, the two quarterbacks have prop bets in the rushing props as well. Hurts over under 49.5 and Mahomes over under 20.5. That's an interesting number given the ankle, but given Mahomes had a couple scrambles last week that people weren't expecting out of him. We'll see if that comes around. Real quick, I want to talk about Super Bowl MVP odds here. Now, for Super Bowl MVP, Mahomes and Hurts seem to be the two obvious.
So mostly a quarterback given award.
That's right. Now, the reason I want to bring that up is because the year that Tom Brady won it, beating the Chiefs 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, it felt like the bar was even lowered further for a quarterback to win the award, because we would probably agree that Brady wasn't the most valuable player in that game.
I think there were 5 defensive players that were way more valuable than Tom Brady.
So is it almost like a shoe-in that if you're going to place a prop bet on the Super Bowl MVP, take a quarterback?
Well, let's go through the last few, right? I mean, it was Cooper Kupp last year. Yep. The year before that, it was Tom Brady. The year before that, it was Patrick Mahomes. The year before that, it was Julian Edelman. The year after that, it was Nick Foles. The year before that, it was Tom Brady. The year before that, it was Von Miller. The year before that, it was Tom Brady. The year before that, it was Malcolm Smith. The year before that, it was Joe Flacco. The year before that, it was Eli Manning. The year before that, it was Aaron Rodgers. The year before that, it was Drew Brees. The year before that, it was Antonio Holmes. The year before that, it was Eli Manning. The year before that, it was Peyton Manning. The year before that, it was Hines Ward, who actually threw a touchdown pass. I mean, more often than not, you are going to get...
Just so you know, that's the most impressive thing I've ever seen you do. That was incredible.
10 minutes to walk, and I'm an excellent driver. I'm just saying the odds are overwhelmingly stacked toward the quarterback winning the MVP if the team wins. So I think that's why the numbers aren't really high on that one. But if you want to feel safe about a bet and winning a little scratch, then go with the Super Bowl MVP.
Okay. And if you don't care what Trey or I think, Kenny Mayne for Caesars also has some of his own props in the Caesars Sportsbook app. He's got a quarterback with a 60-plus yard touchdown pass. Yes, plus 320. No, minus 420. That's an interesting one. And an interception to occur in the end zone. Yes, plus 1,000. Little Malcolm Butler action
there. You go.
And no, minus 1,800. So make sure you check that out. Okay, we're coming up on our last segment here. It is actually time now to talk about the reason we're here. The reason we're in Phoenix, Arizona, here, courtesy of Caesars Sportsbook, Production Pro Football Network, to talk about Super Bowl 57, the Chiefs and the Eagles. Trey, I'll start out by saying that my model that we've been talking about for a while has already made a prediction.
Yeah.
Okay, its prediction is that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this game by a score of 24-21.
And what is your playoff predictor's record in the postseason?
It's undefeated except for the fluke of an NFC Championship game we had.
So in other words, it's what, 8-1 is the fancy way, the real simple way of saying what you just said.
That's right.
You've won everything but one game.
That's
for your
correct.
playoff predictor.
That's correct.
Well, you're with the 3 astrologers that the USA Today had. They all picked the Kansas City Chiefs based on the astral charts. So there you go.
I tell you what, if I'm in line with the astral charts, that's a good thing. So, as we go through this game, for me it looks like, and you mentioned this, I'd love for you to come back to it, the Eagles' rushing attack. That seems to be the vehicle they're going to need to be driving if they want to get a victory.
I agree. Look, everybody's curious about Mahomes' ankle. Hint, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
He threw for 326 yards and 2 touchdown passes with no receivers and scrambled for the first down he needed in that final drive. So I believe Mahomes will be able to do what he does. What no one's talking about is Jalen Hurts' shoulder. Okay? Not really a lot of discussion there. And they didn't need him to throw much in the game over the Giants. They didn't need him to throw much in the game over the Niners in the championship game because the Niners didn't have a quarterback and they kept saying, please take this game, please take this game. And so give credit to the Eagles for doing what they had to do. I'm Steve Spagnuolo. I want to see that arm. Yeah. Show me you can make them throws. Because you go look at that NFC championship game, a couple times he had to throw, they weren't great. Even the 4th and 3 catch that shouldn't have been a catch, that was not a good throw. If I'm Spags, I sell out to stop the run to show me that Jalen Hurts can win with his arm.
Yeah.
And I want to see that. It's like, okay, if you can do it, then I'll change.
Sure.
Then I'll modify during the game. But my game plan going is sell out to stop the run and make sure you can see if you can beat us through the air.
Yeah, look, we talked about the Caesars prop for Miles Sanders being 59.5 over under 49.5 for Jalen Hurts. They both probably have to hit that for the Eagles to win this game. On the flip side, okay, the Kansas City Chiefs, they need to get everybody healthy. Yeah. Juju Smith-Schuster needs to play in this game. He needs to play well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming off. Mecole Hardman going on IR. Yeah. What about the Chiefs most concerns you about what they're going to be able to do on Sunday?
You know, it really has nothing to do with the injuries, because I think they're going to be fine. Everybody that is active has been a full participant in practice the last couple of days. And the Chiefs play it, just so you know, the Chiefs play the injury thing by the book. Like, when Travis Kelce had back spasms after that last practice, you know, they didn't have to say that, but they did. They play it by the book. I think the Chiefs are going to be healthy enough to that the injuries will not be a problem in this game. Yeah. To me, what's really weird, this game comes down to a couple of people. Chris Jones has to be the player he was in the AFC Championship game.
Absolutely.
And Lane Johnson needs to be really healthy for the Eagles. And he did a great job against Nick Bosa. But Chris Jones needs to be a war daddy for the Chiefs to win the game. I think that's if you're looking for one play, forget Mahomes, all this other stuff. Chris Jones needs to be the disruptive force he was in Super Bowl 54. Mm-hmm. And he didn't get a sack, but he tipped 3 passes, was all over the place, pressures. He's going to need to be that disruptive force. Like, to me, Chris Jones is the most important player for the Chiefs if they want to win.
Yeah, a dark horse player that I have my eye on is Jerick McKinnon. Yeah, and I think a lot of this comes down to the Eagles' pass rush going up against the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line.
Just so people know, the reason why you say that is Patrick Mahomes trusts McKinnon to be the blitz pickup guy. And if you go look, like, over the last few weeks, he has been popping people.
Him and Andrew Wiley at the right tackle position have a beautiful chemistry on when...
Wiley's important because Hassan Reddick's going to be on him.
Yeah, and that makes McKinnon even that much more important. Yeah. That's where those chips are going to be coming. So that, for me, is where we're going to have to see, can the Chiefs hold up? Can they do it? Now, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with the prediction? Do you see the Chiefs ultimately winning this ball game?
Well, look, I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl before the season started, so it would be really stupid to leave now when I have a 50-50 shot. The Eagles are the better team. I believe from top to bottom, the Eagles are the better team. I just think I'm going to invoke the phrase that someone told me once for Super Bowl 54. I'll leave his name out of the conversation because it was an off-the-record conversation we had after he did an interview with us. It was a team official for the 49ers for Super Bowl 54. He said, Trey, I love our team. Top to bottom, I think we're great. I think we're the better team. I think we should win. But that guy, he pointed to 15, scares me to death. And what happened? They were up 10 in the fourth quarter, and Patrick said, I don't care. 21 fourth quarter points, they win by 11 points, 31-20. Yeah. I believe this is a legacy game for the Chiefs. I believe even though the Eagles are technically the favorite, even though it's close to pick them, the pressure is on Kansas City. This is their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years. They've hosted the AFC Championship game for 5 straight years. No one's done that. No one did it 4 years in a row before they did it. If they come away with this stretch with 1 Super Bowl win, most people will say that wasn't enough. Yeah. And I think the Chiefs would feel like that wasn't enough. This is a game for the Kansas City Chiefs to stamp their legacy as we are one of the all-time great teams in the NFL, like the Cowboys of the 90s, the Niners of the 80s, the Steelers of the 70s, the Patriots of the aughts and the 2010s. This is their chance to say, this is our era. Because of all those rookies they have on defense, they're very cap-friendly for the next few years with Karlaftis, Cook, McDuffie, Sky Moore, Watson, Williams, Pacheco as a 7th rounder. They got all those guys on rookie contracts for 4 or 5 years, which is going to give Brett Veach, who does an amazing job, flexibility to bring in another wide receiver in the offseason, and they're probably going to rework Mahomes' contract. This is the chance for the Chiefs to cement themselves as the team of the moment. And I think they take it on Sunday.
Yeah, look, as I mentioned, I agree with that. And I think the Chiefs being kind of looked at as an underdog here is also going to fuel them.
First time Mahomes has ever been an underdog in the postseason. Yeah, he's only been an underdog 9 times in the regular season. 6-3 straight up.
You're talking about his career.
In his career, 9 times. Like Ferris, only 9 times. 6-3 straight up as an underdog, 7-1-1 against the spread.
All right, well, that's going to do it here for Football Insiders during Super Bowl 57. Here we are again in Phoenix, Arizona, courtesy of Caesar Sportsbook. We will be back next week for Draft Insiders because
we're switching it up.
We get right to the NFL draft, but Stay tuned because Sunday, Super Bowl 57, Chiefs-Eagles. You heard it here first. We both think Kansas City comes out on top.
But we don't know much.